Hello friends and welcome to the certified machine learning tutorial using Python. My name is Ashish Seni and I'll be your instructor for this course. So let's start with the today's session. So before starting with the today's session, let's have a short recap for all the things that we are going to cover in our today's session. So the precap. Now let's see what are the things that we are going to cover in our today's session. Firstly, the introduction to machine learning, then the need for your machine learning, that why we are going to use machine learning and what is the requirement for your machine learning, then the types of machine learnings that we are having and that we can use, then the supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning, and what level of mathematics do we need for machine learning. And as we know, maths is the essential part for your machine learning so that you can code in a better way. Then the career in machine learning, and at last the applications for machine learning so that you can have a better understanding that where you can actually use your machine learning program. So these are all the topics that we are going to cover in our today's session. Now let's move to the next slide for the introduction. So the introduction to machine learning. So what is machine learning? Machine learning is an idea to learn from examples and experience without being explicitly programmed. So what does that mean? That means machine learning is not just a program. It is an experience that a machine will get through the exposure and the examples that are given to it. And why examples? Because instead of writing codes, you feed data to generic algorithm and it builds logic based on the data that you have given to it. So this is the machine learning. Simply, we are not just programming it. We are just programming it so that it can fetch the data and work accordingly. Like I said just now, instead of writing code, you feed data to the generic algorithm and it builds logic based on the data that you are giving to your machine. So this is the basic introduction for your machine learning. Now let's move further and see that why there is a need for your machine learning. So need for your machine learning. Now machine learning is a field which is raised out of artificial intelligence, because machine learning is not a single field. It is being raised out of the artificial intelligence which is very popular nowadays. And applying artificial intelligence, we wanted to build better and intelligent machines. But except for few mere tasks such as finding the shortest path between the point A and B, we were unable to program more complex and constantly evolving challenges. There was a realization that the only way to able to achieve this task was to let machine learn from itself. Means we just want to program a machine in such a way so that it can learn from itself only. So it doesn't need anyone or any program to control it. So this is quite similar to a newborn baby, because a newborn baby is just like a newly created machine, because a newly created machine doesn't know anything and a newborn baby also doesn't know anything. So both of them tries to learn using their thinking ability and the observations that they made by observing the surrounding. Accordingly, they get the exposure, they get the experience, and they succeed to do many tasks. So this is the way how a machine learning do and why machine learning comes into picture. So the machine learning was developed as a new capability for computers, and now machine learning is present in so many segments of technologies that we don't even realize it while using it. And as I told you that a machine works just the same way a humans do. Then why do we need a machine if the humans can do the same task? Exactly. You are absolutely right. But the thing is, finding patterns in data on planet Earth is possible only for human brains. But if the data being very massive, the time taken to compute is increased, and this is where the machine learning comes into action to help people with large data in a minimum time and also in an efficient way. In that way, we are going to use the machine learning so that we can get the data, process the data in a faster way and also in a very efficient way. So this is the reason why machine learning is a need for today's era. Now let's move to the next slide to know that what are the types of machine learnings that we are having and that we can use to create such type of application that can process the data in a faster and an efficient way. So the types of machine learning. So the first one is the supervised learning. Second is the unsupervised learning. Third one is the reinforcement learning. So these are the types of machine learnings that we are having. And now what are these and how they are different from each other and what are the uses? Now there must be so many types of questions that you're having in your mind right now, but don't worry, be patient. I'll come to each and every point and will explain you in a proper way. So let's move to the next slide so that we can start with the types of machine learnings that we are having. So the supervised learning. So what is supervised learning? So the majority of practical machine learning uses supervised learning. And why they use the supervised learning? Because in supervised learning, the system tries to learn from the previous examples that are given to it. Means supervised learning is a kind of a teacher. And here the previous examples are just like the teacher to a student. Because what happens here is every time a student wants a help from a teacher, that examples will try to find out the problem and will help him to solve the problem. So in this way your supervised learning works. Because in Because in supervised learning, the system tries to learn from the previous examples that are given to it. So, what happens here is you are having some sort of examples, and in that examples, you are having the input, and according to that input, you are having some sort of output. So that means you are having the question and also you are having the answer to it. And according to that input and output, you are going to create or build a model. And that model will be used later with the input data only. So that if you are having a unknown data, like you are having an unknown input data, that input data will predict the output for you without knowing the answer for that. So in short, if you are having an input from the given data, then that's okay. It will definitely give you some result. But if that data is not from the inputs, or you can say that input will not be from your examples that you are having, at that time it will not generate any error. Instead, it will generate the output according to the model that it will create using those examples that you have given in the beginning to your model. So this is the way how your supervised learning works. And if we talk in the mathematical way, the supervised learning is where you have both the input variables and the output variables. Like I told you, you are having both the values, the input values and the output values. And accordingly, it will generate an algorithm, which I was telling that that is a model. So accordingly, you will take some unknown values and accordingly you will generate the output for that. So this is it, and this is all about the supervised learning. But it is not just a theory, it is a practical that we need to perform to create a model so that it can predict the values, it can process the data in a faster way. Now If it is not just a theory, now what else? So let me tell you that what else you are having in supervised learning. Supervised learning is also having some types for it. And what are the types of it? Let's see that. So the supervised learning is of two types. The first one is the classification. The second one is the regression. So these two are the types of supervised learning that we are having, that we are going to learn in the upcoming sessions. So what are the classification and regression? So firstly, let's talk about the classification. So the classification problem is where the output is a category or a group, such as black or white, or spam or not spam. So what does that mean? That means if you are having some sort of values, like I have given you some balls, and in that balls you are having different colors, like you're having black and white, you're having five blacks and six whites. So here what you will just categorize the values according to the color. Like I have told you, five balls are just black color. So black color will be put aside in just a single category or in a single group. Similarly, the white balls will be given or put in a second category, which is of white. But that doesn't mean you are having a proper value. You are just having a category which is named and recognized using the color, which is a black or a white. So what are these categories or a group? These are just the classification. You are just classifying the balls according to the color. Similarly, if you are checking for an email, that whether you are having a mail that is a spam or not spam, so in that case you can categorize them, that this is a harmful message, so I will put that in the spam folder. This is not a harmful, so this will be put in a other folder. So this is the way how you have classified the values. Now let's move to the next one, which is the regression. So what is regression? Regression problem is when the output variable is a real value, such as rupees or height. So as I have given you one example in the case of classification, that you are having five black balls and four white balls. So black and white are just the categories according to which we are just classifying the balls. And in that particular category, which is a black and a white, you are having a particular number, that how many balls you are having in that particular category. Like we are having a five balls for black, four balls for white. So what are these numbers? These numbers are just the real values. So real values comes under the category of your regression. So this is what? This is the regression. You're getting a exact value, or you can say you're getting a real value for that. In five balls, five is your regression and ball is your classification. So this is the way how you can differentiate your classification and regression under the category the supervised learning. Now let's come to the next type, which is the unsupervised learning. So what is unsupervised learning? In unsupervised learning, the system attempts to find the patterns directly from the examples given. Like we have discussed in the supervised learning, that you are given some of the examples previously so that you can find the solution to the given problem. But here you are not given any solution. Instead, you are directly given the problem and you have to find the solution for that. So, in this unsupervised learning, the algorithm are left to themselves to discover interesting structures in the data. So, in this way, unsupervised learning works. And now let's talk about mathematically. Mathematically, unsupervised learning is when you only have the input data and no corresponding output variables to it. As we have discussed now, you're having the problem and you do not have the corresponding output to it so that you can create a model according to that. So this is about the unsupervised learning. And just like the supervised learning, we are having two different types for the unsupervised learning as well. Now let's talk about them. So the types of unsupervised learning. The first one is the association. And the next is the clustering. So what are these two types and how they are different from each other? Now let's discuss each of them. First, let's start with the association. In association rule learning, a problem is where you want to discover rules that describes large portion of your data, such as people that buy X also tends to buy Y. So this is quite similar to any shopping website that you visit like the Amazon, Flipkart or any other website, and in that website what you see, if you are going to purchase a mobile phone, at the bottom of that page you may have some suggestions like if you will buy this phone plus the phone cover you will get that in this price, because here what is happening, they are just associating that rule that if you are going to purchase a mobile phone then definitely there are some tendency that you will buy a mobile phone cover for your mobile phone. So in that way your association rules for unsupervised learning works. So this is it. Now let's move to the clustering and see what is clustering and how is it different from the association. So the clustering problem is where you want to discover the inherent grouping in the data, such as grouping customers by purchasing behavior. Like I have given you one example of your shopping website, that on that website you have purchased a good and accordingly it was showing that you have the tendency that you can purchase a mobile cover with your mobile phone as well. So accordingly what I am going to do now, if a person or some group of person are purchasing the low cost or you can say the cheaper products, so what we can do, we can just assign them in a particular category that these type of people or this group of people will definitely go for some discount. So accordingly what we can do, we can offer them some sort of discount or the low cost products so that they can purchase them as well. So in this way the companies can generate their revenue and they can also increase them as well. So in this way the company have the tendency that they can reach the maximum number of customer and they can sell their products in a huge amount. So this is the way how the unsupervised learning works, and these were the two types of it which you can use according to the data. Now let's move to the next type of learning, which is the reinforcement type of learning. So what is reinforcement type of learning? In reinforcement learning, a computer program will interact with a dynamic environment in which it must perform a particular goal. So, what is that particular goal? Example, playing a game with an opponent or driving a car. So, what is that? If you are going to play a game, you do not know that what will be your next action. Like if you are playing a football, you do not know in which direction you have to kick your ball because there may be a player of the opponent's team. So accordingly, you can change your action as well. So this is a reinforcement type of learning. Here what happens is the program is provided feedback in terms of rewards and punishments and it navigates into problem space. So like I have told you, a computer program will interact with a dynamic environment in which it must perform a particular goal. So if you are going to perform a particular goal, you must have some data. But here what happens is you do not have any type of data. Instead, you are going to perform some hit and trial methods. Let's take an example of a water bottle. So what I want to judge here is I want to judge that whether this water bottle is empty or full. And in this case, if my program will say that the water bottle is empty, in that case, it will be given a punishment with some penalty, like suppose minus 20. So what is that? This will be a penalty for this. So by this penalty, your program will understand that my answer was incorrect. And for the next time, I do not have to give this answer because this answer gives me a penalty. Similarly, for the other case, if my program will say that the water bottle is full, in that case, my program will be rewarded with a plus point, like suppose plus 20. So in this way, what will happen? If I will get a reward, that means my answer is correct. If I will get a penalty, that means my answer is wrong. So accordingly, I can change the output and will update the data for my program. So this is the way how reinforcement learning works. And using this algorithm, the machine is trained to make specific decision. It works this way. The machine is exposed to an environment where it continuously trains itself using trials and error method. So this was all about your reinforcement type of learning. Now it's time to move further so that we can have a start with the programming part, because till now we all know that what are the different types of learning, or we can say the what are the different types of machine learnings that we are having, that we can start here. And here where we are going to write the program, we are going to write the program in Python. So accordingly, we need to start further. But before starting with Python or any other programming languages, we must first know that what are the basic requirements that you should already know to start with your machine learning. So there are few things that you require to start with your machine learning. The first one is the programming language. So for that, I'm going to use Python here. So for that, you should have a basic understanding of your Python programming language so that you can understand the code, whatever I'm going to teach you here. And if you do not have the basic understanding of your Python programming language, then you can refer to the sessions for your Python basics and the Python advanced provided by the Cosmic Skills. So for that you can refer there, and if you already know Python very well, then it's very good. Then we can directly start with the programming session. And the first one was the programming, and the second thing is the mathematics, because you're going to create a machine learning program, and in machine learning you're going to play with the data, and that data needs to be processed using the mathematics. And now, next questions that comes into your mind will be, what level of maths do we need for machine learning? So don't worry, I have the answer for you. So the foremost question when trying to understand a field such as machine learning is the amount of maths necessary and complexity of maths required to understand these systems. So the answer to this question is the multidimensional, and it depends on the level and the interest of you. So it directly depends on the level and the interest of you. So the minimum level of maths that is needed for machine learning is first one, the linear algebra, which is 35% that you need here. Then the probability theory and statistic, you need 25% here. Then the calculus, you require 15% for that. Algorithms and complex optimization, you need 15% for that. And the rest of the maths that may or may not be used here will be the 10% of it. So this is the contribution of the different areas of mathematics in machine learning. So you require all of these to have a good start with machine learning. So now you know what is machine learning, what are the different types of it, what level of maths do you need here, that what is the programming language that you need to write a code for machine learning, and so many things. And now you also know that what level of mathematics do you need for machine learning. So further, next question that comes into your mind is that if I will choose machine learning for my career, then what salary that I can expect from a company if I want to work as an employee in any company. So the answer for your question is this, that on an average, if you're searching for a machine learning job, then you are definitely going to get an average salary package of around 6,18,218 per annum. So this is the average package that you can get in this field as a fresher. So the next is the applications of machine learning. That where the machine learning is being used in the real life. The first one is for your face detection. Face detection is a very common thing nowadays. You can see this everywhere, like on Facebook. If you're going to upload any photographs, nowadays you can see if you have uploaded a photo, then Facebook will automatically search for the people that who you are talking about. Maybe if in case it matches the face of a person, at that time it will suggest you that this person is with this particular name or not. So this is what? This is a face detection. Secondly, you all are having a smartphone nowadays, and in your smartphone, you are having one face unlock option. So in that case, what is that? It is just detecting your face and just matching your face that if you are in front of your smartphone or not, and if you are in front of your smartphone, then it will just unlock your phone, otherwise it will just leave as it is. So what is that? That is just the face detection. So this is created using the machine learning. Next is email filtering. Like I have already mentioned this, you are just filtering your email, that whether your email is having a spam or not. So if there is a spam, it will just detect that spam and it will just send that into the other folder. You may or may not be able to access that folder. Next is for medical diagnosis. If you want to diagnose or make some reports for any patients, that whether that patient is having an improvement in it or there is any complication in his report, at that time you can use your machine learning using the previous data. So what is that? There also the machine learning is being used to keep you safe and healthy. And the next is for weather prediction. Weather prediction is the one that everyone you may know, because weather is the common thing that you can see in your day-to-day life. You all wants to check that whether there will be some rain or not, whether there will be a sunny day or not, or many things. Or you can also check whether there will be a rain on the upcoming days or weather will be the clear. So this is what you are just predicting the weather, and accordingly you're getting some result, and that result is being made using the machine learning only. So similarly, there are so many other applications of machine learning that you can see in your day-to-day life. So this was it for your today's session. Now it's time for your practice question to test your knowledge and to improve yourself.